Hey, what's up? We're still working our way through these 2017 lists. As long as I do it all before the end of January, I think it's okay. I think it counts. This one is going to be about video games I played in 2017. I like video games, but I don't play them that often anymore. And I don't very often like play through a game anymore. That doesn't really interest me too much. Nowadays, when I play games, it's pretty much exclusively games I want to like get good at, that I want to compete at in some capacity, or that I'm like mostly looking for some sort of sense of mastery or achievement or something. If it's just going to be getting through it, it has to be like a really extraordinary game for me to want to do that. At any rate, so this is one game that I kind of grinded away at and I tried to get good at, In the Groove 2. If you don't know, In the Groove 2 is basically just like DDR. And it was so much like DDR that they got sued and had to stop making In the Groove 2 machines, which is a shame because not only are these machines like really, really high quality and precise and allow you to play really quickly, but the software on them is really easily modifiable so that you can do things like add your own songs so that the difficulty goes from beyond whatever BS Konami wants to give you in DDR to just the most absurd of things imaginable. So I was lucky enough to be living in a house with a guy who owned an ITG2 arcade machine. So for like the first half or so of the year, I would play pretty often, and I had hands down the best year I've ever had playing this game. I think the hardest thing I passed. Let's see if I can find a video of it. No, I didn't record a video of me playing this, unfortunately. Wait, yeah, I was really happy with. No, Double Universe. No. Shoot, what's the name of the song? Um, it's like a P-Light song, I thought, and it was in this like European stamina pack. No. Uh, anyways, shoot, I should have looked this up beforehand. I've definitely seen videos of it before, but now I can't think of what it's called. Ah, I wanted to show you how good I got. Anyways, I played it a lot this year. I got pretty good. I got to like my peak that I've ever been at. And then after my this roommate moved away and took the ITG cab with him to Seattle, I have like played 3 times, I think, total. So whatever progress I made has now completely disintegrated into rust, which is unfortunate. But whatever, I still hit like an all-time high in this game, and it's just intoxicating. Like probably it's just because I haven't really done much athletic activity outside of this game, but just the adrenaline rush you get, all the euphoria coming from the so what I'm looking for here, the stuff that gets released, endorphins, yes, from the release of endorphins you get when you exercise is just so intoxicating and addicting. So yeah, I'm hoping in the future I'll have another way to play this conveniently and high quality. Like right now, we're kind of back to using home pads or busing for an hour to go to the local arcade machine, which isn't sometimes in terrible condition itself. So it's not a good time for ITG, but I'm hoping in the future I'll be able to maintain and get back to the level I was at. I also played a lot of this game. This year was actually a terrible year for me in this game. It's kind of, I don't know, the same sort of story. Like at the start of the year, I was going to tournaments fairly often. My local community has, I think, 3 weekly tournaments, and I would go to at least one every week. So I was doing all right in that regard. And then when I started working, which is in May, I just wanted to stop going to weekly tournaments entirely because they're often on weeknights and you end up staying really late. And then I'm super tired for work the next day, and it doesn't seem worth it. Plus, more and more, when I would go to an event, the odds of running into these little bastards just got higher and higher. And I just hate it. Like, even if I win, I hate it. Even if I crush a wobbling Ices player, I'm not happy, and I just wish that I just had thrown it and given them the 2-0 before we even played. It's just like, I just hate wobbling that much. I'm not going to get into it now. It's like a 20-minute rant if I start talking about wobbling. And then I went to Gommel. That was like the one big tournament I went to this year. I mostly just went because Isaiah, the legendary 64 player, was entering 64, and I really wanted to meet him. And I did meet him. Oh, and he signed my copy of 64. Um, but I didn't actually practice 64 or anything, so I played really terrible in 64. And then in Melee, I did actually practice a lot. At the time, I was living with one of the top players in our region, like somebody who doesn't go to many events himself, but is definitely like a hidden boss type status person, like a really, really strong player. And we would play like dedicatedly practicing, like playing practice sets, focusing on specific areas, him giving me advice and criticism and calling me a perceptron and making fun of me for failing to cover the same thing over and over again. But I made progress. I think I actually made progress. But then that was all thrown out the window because I slept really, really poorly the night of the tournament. And when I got there, I just like didn't care, and I just wanted to hang out with people, and I didn't really. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it, and I lost to two Sheiks, and I'm also a Sheik player, and I hate the Sheik Dittos so much, especially if they chain grab. It just makes me like hate my own character a lot. So I was just like, you know what, screw it. Like, I don't care. So I played really terribly. Um, I don't even remember my results. I think I went like 2-2 or something disgusting. So yeah, I think I'm done with this game outside of friendlies. Like, I don't want to. I don't care if I get better or worse anymore. I don't really plan on going into any more tournaments. If they ban wobbling, I'll rethink it. But until then, oh, you bastards! You're ruining this game, and your little friend. Don't think I didn't see you up here. Anyways, yeah, like I don't know. I still have a lot of fun playing friendlies, and if my friends are around, I'll play friendlies with them for sure. But uh, yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna go out of my way to play it on my own or to practice or to go to events again. Just fine. I've been doing it for a long time. It's been a big part of my life at several stages. It's been a huge social avenue for me. Like, so many of my friends now, so many of my best friends I met through playing this game. So I owe a lot to it, but that doesn't mean that necessarily going forward I need to continue structuring my social life around it. I mean, already I'm not to any real extent. Yeah, I don't need to cling to it or anything. It's time to move on. So yeah, 2017, last year of competitive melee. Wish I could say I went out with a bang. There's been other times in the past where I thought about quitting, and then that somehow transformed into like a real, oh, wouldn't it be pathetic to quit now? I should really try to get good and like become PR'd in Ontario or something. But like whatever, the competition is so good now. There's so many people trying really, really hard at this game, and I just don't want to. So yeah, it's end of an era. Oh crap! Oh god, ew. I forgot I put this on here. So this was something that, because of Melee, I also started playing a lot of Endless Lake. This is a stupid messenger game. I've featured a lot of messenger games on this channel, but I don't think I've ever e-like. So basically, it's you tap to jump and you can double tap to double jump, and that's the whole game. There's situations where you like split and you're controlling both characters simultaneously, so you rack up points a lot faster if you can manage to keep both of them alive. That's like the only thing that would amount to actual difficulty. Everything else is like you just kind of zone out and you try to make sure you don't like massively F up. and there's only so many like different patterns, and you start to like recognize every single pattern of jumps and stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. We were really fiercely competitive in this game in the Smash Bros group chat I'm in for like our local region, and it like accumulated in. I remember I had a bunch of people over to my house once, and we had like one setup of Melee, and then the people who weren't playing Melee were all just taking turns playing E-Lake on my computer. It's just like, oh my god, like what have we come to? And then my aforementioned friend that was training me in Melee just like crushed all of us. He was like really, really good at this game. But the thing is, like, the better you get at it, the longer it takes because you just live that much longer, and you end up having to devote like half an hour at a time to a single run, and it's just no. So I've vowed to never play this game again, and since that vow, I've never played it. So good, another game I'll never play again. Ooh, Tetris Attack! I went to a Tetris Attack meetup this year, and it was fantastic. I love this game so much. If you've never heard of it before, it's been called various things by Nintendo over the years. Panel Upon was the original Japanese release, and it featured like fairies and stuff. And then when they brought it to North America, they tried to make it more palpable to North American audiences, so they call it Tetris Attack, figuring that hey, Tetris is popular and this is like a puzzle game, and Attack, that's like cool. And then they put like a bunch of Yoshi characters in it, just for like double marketability, but it doesn't matter. The game itself is sick, no matter what aesthetics you have. Later, they made it a Pokemon themed thing, Pokemon Puzzle League, and then they've had just like a couple generic Puzzle League releases. But for me, the SNES one is the most fun. Like, I think it's my favorite aesthetically. It has the best music. The controls are pretty much the same, I think, in all of them. I think some of the post Pokemon Puzzle League releases are kind of like butchered in some ways. So the way the game works, it's really cool. You swap the tiles freely, like this cursor shows you the two tiles that are going to be swapped. You can only swap horizontally. Whenever you make 3 in a row, either vertically or horizontally, they disappear, and then everything falls down into place. And if you make it fall into place such that it creates another row of 3, then that's a combo and a chain, or yeah, combos are, they're called chains, and combos are called something else, but I always call it a combo, but whatever. That creates something good, and that's the good thing you want to do. So in that sense, it's similar to Bejeweled or Candy Crush or a whole slew of other much worse games. And the reason this game is much better is that while the blocks are clearing and while the blocks are falling, you can still move other tiles. So if this was me playing right now, I would swap this over and start clearing these heart tiles, and then I would immediately go up and throw the yellow tile down. So now it's waiting for these to clear. And then when it starts falling, I would shift this over. Or no, I would shift this one because I just put it here. I would shift this one back into the hole it makes so that when this falls, it creates another combo. And then I would throw this over here, and then that would be waiting on top, and then I would like slide this. Well, whatever. It's really, really in depth, being able to kind of project your vision into the future. There's all sorts of really crazy techniques to kind of speed up your gameplay. Lots of little one-frame windows where you can do things like as a tile is falling, you can swap it with a tile in midair. You can make a tile support 2 tiles at once by sliding it over really quick, and then it can like catch and link with this tile before this tile falls. It's just one of the coolest puzzle games I've ever played. I love it so much, and this meetup was great because I just got owned over and over again by so many people. It's really cool too. The first I really kind of got into this game was because of this website, tetrisattack.net, which I think is not at all what it used to be right now. But back in the day, it had like GIFs and stuff of all of these like advanced techniques, and it had GIFs of long combos and such. And me and my cousin found the site, and we were just like, wow, so cool. And then we started grinding this game nonstop. And at this meetup, I got to meet the guy who made that site, the guy who got me into this game in the first place. So that was like a big, really exciting moment for me. And he was a really cool guy, and we got along. Oh yeah, it was tons and tons of fun. But some people are shockingly good at this game. I really recommend looking it up. Or really, what I recommend is trying to play it first. You know, kind of getting some sense of it, getting to the point where you can maybe make a three chain or something, and then looking up people playing, because your mind will be blown. Oh, what a good game. Oh, sweet. Yeah. This is Super Monkey Ball 2 custom stages. This is something that happened early this year. This guy, Jeff the Firo of Time, and I think some other people were working on this project, where you can import 3D models into Super Monkey Ball and create your own levels. And as a big fan of Super Monkey Ball, I was really excited about this. So they made one complete level pack, like a new ISO that would replace every single level in the original game with a new level. So I played through most of that. There was some really BS levels near the end of Expert that I couldn't get through, so I never made it to like Master or whatever. I might go back and do that again sometime. And I played through Story, and most of the levels are pretty good. Like, I was impressed with a lot of them. They are like, I think they skew harder than the original Super Monkey Ball stuff, but it's not like really ridiculous over the top Kaizo, like for the top 0.01% of players only. Like, I think I'm decent at this game, but I'm not amazing by any stretch. Like, I had to really grind to get through Master and stuff in the vanilla game. At any rate, it's just a really cool project to be going back to a game this old and still like supporting it with new content and stuff. I think is really awesome. So yeah, check it out if you like Monkey Ball. Oh, I played this when my friend got his Switch. I think his roommate got this, so we played it for a while. It was fun. I can understand a lot of the criticisms that it's sort of like insubstantial. I wish a lot of the games had like high scoreboards and stuff. Something kind of, I don't know, something that it feels like you can get good at it rather than just like beating your friends. But I understand that they wanted to make it like a really casual, low commitment, low learning curve experience, and I think it excels at that. I was really impressed with like the aesthetics of it. That there's no real like menu. There's not like a bunch of settings and stuff. It feels like almost a channel on your TV that you just kind of go through all these games. Uh, it shows off the features of the system really well too. Like the HD rumble stuff is cool, and the IR sensor. Sandwich eating game was nuts. I think that's like one of the few times a game has really addressed a completely unique and separate from anything else skill. You know, like DDR and stuff, it's a fairly unique skill, but it's comparable to, I don't know, like running in place or something if you're really good at running. Maybe you're good at this already. In a lot of other like video games, there's some crossover, but rapidly opening and closing your mouth. Who's good at that? What decides whether or not you're good at that? I genuinely don't know. I was terrible at it, but it was fascinating to me. So yeah, I think this game is cool. I think it's just like not quite there. Um, I don't know. If it was like a bundled in game, everyone would have loved it. It's the fact that they sold it separately. It was such a controversy. And I played Breath of the Wild, of course. I didn't play it as much as I wanted to. The whole time, like I played it a bit. There's some videos of me playing it on this channel, and then I watched my roommate play big chunks of it. Um, and I was like, all right, there's gonna be a time where I just have like a week and nothing to do but like really sink myself into this game, which is what I remember doing with like past 3D Zelda games or other games of this scale. But guess what? When you have a job, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen, and maybe it'll never happen. I don't know. No, it'll happen. It'll happen. I'll give this game the time it deserves eventually, but I was really impressed with it. It was really beautiful. But I gotta say, the most fun moment I had with it was I was telling a friend about it who's like a very cynical person, doesn't really get excited about games very often at all, and he kept calling it Nintendo Skyrim, and Skyrim is a game that neither of us are at all interested in, and he goes, they just tricked you into playing Skyrim. It's just Skyrim, but it's Nintendo. And I was like, no, 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 it's fun, it's fun. And he's like, no, fun is just a buzzword in all of this kind of standard banter. So I finally made him play it. And like, the very first thing that happened was he tried to like pick up a mushroom, and the mushroom like glitched into the wall. And I had like never seen that happen before. And then for like maybe the 10 minutes he played it, it was just kind of like disaster after disaster, and like weird, unintuitive things happened. And we kept saying that he has the Kroby Cat curse. If you know the YouTube channel Kroby Cat, basically looks at like AAA games and breaks down just why they're such buggy, unfinished pieces of shit. That somehow he was turning this really beautiful, polished, fluid, fun game into like another generic AAA open world Kroby Cat nightmare. I was just like, stop playing it. You're destroying it. So yes, that was very fun. But I don't know. I think if he gave it a legitimate chance, even he, a person who really only just likes Path of Exile these days. No, you know what? No, there's no helping people like that. They just play Path of Exile. Okay. Oh, then I played a ton of this. Puyo Puyo Tetris. I love this game so much. My Tetris has always been pretty good. Well, not always, but for a long time I've been playing Tetris semi-seriously and quickly and trying to get good at it. But Puyo is a game that I really had not spent any time on at all. And the learning curve in Puyo is, I think it's very steep. I think what I was supposed to do, and probably what I should still do, is look at Puyo Nexus, the website, and really study the chaining guides and practice making those same chains over and over again. And then after I've kind of got those down, then I can start experimenting and trying to do kind of custom chains that are more efficient or more resilient or whatever. But instead, I just threw myself at it and tried via basically brute force to come up with things that would work. And so anyways, yeah, I played through the single player story mode. I got triple stars and everything. That was really satisfying. Um, some of those were pretty hard to triple star. That really helped my Puyo too. Was having to get triple stars on some of the Puyo only missions. And then I played online a lot. I played pretty much exclusively Swap, where you play Puyo for 30 seconds and then Tetris for 30 seconds and back and forth and back and forth. It's a pretty crazy mode. There's like all sorts of, wow, it's windy outside. All sorts of crazy mechanics with swap combos where you unleash a combo like as the game transitions into the other game and it's worth like bonus garbage. Um, so in some ways, I think it's like kind of just a busted game, but it's fun as hell. So I grinded ranked net play for that for a while. I kind of want to keep doing it, but there's only so much time in the day. I'd like to get good at Puyo. Tetris to me at the high level, because there's no real upper cap on speed. Really, the winner is whoever, especially in multiplayer Tetris. You want to just do 4 wide and then combo down from your 4 wide well really, really quickly. That's like the optimal way to just spam garbage. And to me, that's much less elegant than Puyo. Puyo is sort of a refined, dignified game, whereas like multiplayer competitive Tetris, especially the really combo-based ones, become so kind of twitchy and frantic. So I don't know. I'd like to get good at Puyo, but that is so much fun though. Playing Tetris quickly is a fun like nothing else. Anyways, all right, let's move on. I played some Words with Friends because they released like a messenger version of it, which has a smaller board. So it's kind of baby Words with Friends, but whatever. It was fun. I wanted to get good at it. My mom is really good at it, and I have one friend who's really good at it. And they both just like wrecked me over and over again. And then I started playing with some friends that like don't play these sort of games at all. And some of them we had like good close games. Like some people I think are also like good at it, or we're like willing to take it seriously is more what it comes down to. But it's a game that most people associate with kind of like a family game night, and nobody's like really trying too hard. But what I found that's interesting to me is in Words with Friends, there's no penalty for trying words that aren't words. So it's less about knowing a huge vocabulary and being able to come up with words. I mean, that's definitely still a skill, but it's more about making good like board position moves, moves that block areas and don't open up things for your opponent, ones that like can set you up for like turns ahead, that if you have like a really eccentric play that can play off of an opportunity you just opened up, kind of prioritizing that like 2-turn point spread, knowing that that position is safe, like all sorts of crazy metagames and stuff like that. Like I almost wish there was a version that just told you all the words you could make, and then the challenge is all just kind of like figuring out where to put them or something. At any rate, I think it's a very cool game. I'd like to get better at it, but it's tough, and to a certain extent, you really do have to grind vocabulary, like especially with like recognizing 3 and 2 or 2 letter words, especially like knowing that za is a word. You just get to see so many more things. But excuse me. Oh, I ate a ton of barbecue for lunch today, and I keep burping up barbecue. um, because of another game we'll talk about. I don't think I'm ever coming back to this game either. Ooh, and then I played a bunch of this at a friend's house. This is a really cool puzzle game called Tumblestone. So the way it works is you can see there's these 1, 2, 3 slots at the top, and you control this little guy. So you got to go around and collect colors in sets of 3s. So right now, this person basically has to make blue, right? But well, okay. Well, basically, the situation is you can get into kind of impossible situations where there's not 3 of one color exposed, in which case you have to like reset the puzzle in some modes, or the screen will move down really sharply in other modes where you're trying to survive or whatever. So it's like very quickly being able to like look ahead while quickly clearing out like the first few moves of your plan. It's really fun, really exhilarating. The controls are super tight. Yeah, I think I like everything about this game besides the aesthetics. I think the aesthetics are a little like mid 2000s flash gamey. If it was like anime poi and cute and stuff, I'd be all over it. But yeah, and really fiendishly hard at times too. So we mostly played the competitive multiplayer mode where you're kind of like racing to complete puzzles, and you can do like garbage attacks in some modes. But the single player mode, which we also played a bit of, where you just have as much time as you'd like to slowly work through puzzles, some of them were like, oh my god, hard. Like, there was one where we actually had to recreate the entire puzzle on an Excel spreadsheet so that we could like undo and redo and like really kind of work through the whole thing. It was absurd. Okay. Sometimes you're just like, it's impossible. It's impossible. The game is rigged. This one is broken. Impossible. All right. Let's move on. What else we got? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I got this. I played a lot of it. I got 3 stars and all the 200cc cups. That made me pretty happy. Because when I first started playing 200cc, I was terrible at it. And I was not at all used to having to break. But I started to really like it. And now it's like my favorite mode of Mario Kart since they took out rapid mini turboing. Like since they made mini turbos, which is where when you drift, and eventually if you drift long enough, you boost. They changed it to like entirely timing and angle based, whereas before it was based on like mashing, so you could just kind of mini turbo boost like arbitrarily fast. That to me is still like prime Mario Kart. That's still the most fun I've ever had playing Mario Kart. But 200cc is a second to that. Like it's the most compelling experience I've had since then. So yeah, I got really into it. Playing online was fun too, but you don't get to play 200cc online reliably. Like often it's 150 or even 100. So that's a lot less fun, but online is still good. You can meet like also pretty good people, which is exciting. But I kind of miss the days where, like, I'm sure I could still get into this community if I wanted to. But like with Mario Kart DS, the matchmaking was so bad that I had to seek out like separate communities of players, and then I could get in with like lots of other people that took the game like really seriously and were like really trying to improve and stuff, and we would play with each other regularly. That was fantastic. So yeah, I don't know, this game is great. Really, really beautiful graphically. I think some of the locations are like some of the most beautiful things Nintendo has ever depicted. Besides this game, which is hands down some of the most, oh my god, the Lakeside Kingdom. Oh, oh, it's so beautiful. It just makes me want to cry. Or the finale to New Donk City, the festival. Oh my God, like literal tears. Yeah, this is a fantastic game. This might be one of my favorite games of all time now. Um, I played through the main story, and I want to play a lot more. I want to get like all the moons and stuff, or at least a reasonable amount of moons. I want to like unlock all this stuff at least. It's pretty crazy, um, just how fun literally everything is. Like, I don't even know where to begin. It's like at the heart, you've got mostly core Mario gameplay, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm Mario. I want to get over there. I'm gonna have to run and jump and dodge enemies and fight stuff and get my way up there. And most of the game is still like that. But then through the possession mechanic, it's broken up into all of these different kind of gameplay experiences where sometimes you're moving a lot faster, sometimes you're moving a lot slower, sometimes your areas are really restricted, sometimes you gain abilities. Like it's the ultimate fulfillment of that the power up system, which has always kind of been about this sort of alternating gameplay feel. But here they've tied it in so well with like the rhythm of play where just when you're starting to get like exhausted of kind of the traditional Mario gameplay, it switches up on you, and now suddenly you're like a chain chomp or you're a cute little bird or whatever. And then just experiencing the game as that and experiencing the same world as that is enough of kind of like a tonal shift and a tempo shift and stuff that you're always feeling so liberated and excited about each transition, about each discovery, about each possession. Um, oh man, I don't know. I can't praise this game enough. I think it's so good. I'm really, really looking forward to Super Mario Odyssey 2. They got to do it, right? They put so much work into this engine, so much work into the whole possession mechanic or capturing. Sorry, I keep calling it possession, but I don't think Nintendo likes to refer to it as that. The capturing mechanic. There's no way they can't bring that back. I hope. Oh, what a beautiful game. Okay. Oh God. Oh, what a hideous game. This is one that you've probably seen on my channel before. Oh, I didn't even play it. Did I play it? Templar 2048. I played that a bunch this year too. Yeah, this and Templar 2048 were like the two huge time wasters of 2017. Games that overall I think I probably regret playing. So this game, if you haven't seen it before, if you've been lucky enough to not been suckered into its curse, you're trying to make words, kind of like Boggle, by drawing lines. Like here they're making sleek. You can see this is a double word tile, this is a double letter tile, and those spawn randomly on the board. When you fill up these bars, once you get enough points, eventually, like this shows you that you're going to get more time in a double word tile, but eventually you'll get brand new boards of letters. So it's very, very RNG heavy that you want the bonus tiles to show up on the right letters. There's a lot of like kind of interesting things about this game though still. Like obviously it's still very skill based. Being able to like systematically go through and find the highest scoring words as quickly as possible. It's something that I definitely did feel myself improving at, um, which was satisfying and exciting, even though I never got close to the skill level displayed by my same friend who's really, really good at Words with Friends, and also my mom who's really good with words with Friends. So obviously there is some skill carryover there. And then the fact that as these tiles accumulate, like the way the game changes, the way the game is played changes pretty fundamentally. Where at the start you're just kind of spamming as many words as possible, but then as you get really valuable tiles on the board, it's more about like slowing down and trying to combo together as many like double word and triple word and stuff tiles as you can. Um, so I thought that was cool too. And your score like really accelerates, like it grows at an accelerated rate as you kind of get into these more valuable boards. So that's really exciting too. Um, and the life system is also fiendishly addictive. So how it works is that for every day you play, you get more lives. And the more days you play consecutively, the more lives you get each day. And then when you lose, when you run out of time, there's an option to extend your timer by, I think, 20 seconds for the cost of 1 life. And you can do that up to 3 times per game. Okay. So what this leads to is basically when you run out of lives, there's no point in playing any longer because there's no chance for you to get like the triple extend, which is going to be necessary for you to get like the best score possible, right? But what that means is that the last game you played is a game where you thought it was worthy to use lives and to extend yourself. So that means that the last game you play each day is guaranteed to be a game where you play pretty well, and that as soon as it's over, you're like, oh, I'm playing so good, even though it's mostly RNG, but forget that. I'm playing so good, I definitely can PB. I definitely can get a really good score tomorrow, so I gotta play tomorrow too. And it's that fiendish addictiveness that made me play this for like, I don't know, like 15 consecutive days at least, for increasingly long periods, because as you improve, your tolerance for like when you think it's worth dipping into your life reserves goes down. Like first you might think, oh, as long as I hit 3,000 points, I'll extend and keep going, but soon that's not good enough, and it's like, oh, I gotta hit 6,000 points on my first life for it to be worth it, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that it's so skill-based, like it feels so skill-based, and yet it's so RNG-based, I think is also really fiendishly addictive, that you feel like you're in control way more than you are. But yeah, as you play this game, you start to feel like really diseased. Like even looking at this, there's a part of my mind that's become so trained that I cannot stop just idly finding words as I was looking at it, which is one thing. To be able to look at the board and feel like you're playing, that's whatever. Like in Tetris Attack, I get that too. But when I was playing this a lot, when I would close my eyes, all I would see is the game board and just me playing. Um, and like in that vision, I would still make mistakes. I would still redo words and make words that aren't words that I always think are words. You get your own little set of them. I'm trying to see if there's anything. I try to make dat all the time. Dat and dats. I think I try to make rote, R-O-A-T, because I make rote, rots, rot, rots, rat, rats, stars. Oh man, dot, dots, and then I'm like, what about rat, rot, whatever. Um, and then the craziest one, the ultimate level of addiction was I would just hear a word and I would start to think really obsessively, do I make that word? Like while I'm playing, is that a word that I think to make? And I was never able to answer definitively one way or another, because it was more just kind of this feeling of anxiety that I got when I heard certain words, that is the same as like while you're playing and you kind of see like, oh, did I make jot? Did I make jots? Did I make pot? Did I make pots? Did I make stop? And like you're trying to go through your memory because you don't want to waste time making them again because you don't get points for that. Um, I started getting that same feeling of anxiety just from like seeing words or hearing words. And at that point, I was like, no, 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 no. Okay, this game is too much. So I vowed 2018, no more word streak. Word streak is over. And so far, I've kept that up. So that's good. Okay, and then I got one of these. My friend was going to line up to get one, and he asked if I wanted one too, because he was able to get two, and I was like, sure. I kind of got it on a whim, thinking like, for a long time I collected old video games, so I have pretty much all the SNES games I want. Um, and I was like, I can always just play them on emulator too if I want, like more convenience. So I kind of got on a whim. I didn't think that I would want it so much, but it's actually so great. I actually love it so much. It's so small and cute and portable and easy to set up. It's also really, really easily moddable, that you can just put any SNES ROMs you want on there. I didn't really consider that, but that is a fantastic feature. There's actually so many games that I never even thought about wanting to play or not that I now have played and I've really, really enjoyed. So this is another thing that I would like to have way more time to explore and to make videos about and to really dive into the SNES's library, which I think still must be the greatest games library ever made. So yeah, I love this thing. It makes me wish that I got an NES Classic too, but those are a huge pain to track down now, so I don't know if that'll be the case. You think they'll make an N64 Classic? If they do, I'm gonna jump on that like ASAP. I don't know. We might have to wait a bit for that though. Okay. Ooh, and then I played this. This is Soul Dam. I played this a bunch at my friend's place, and then very kindly, said friend got me a copy of it for Christmas. And since then, I played it a bit with my cousins and stuff. But there's another game that we're going to talk about that really dominated that time. So, at any rate, this game is kind of strange. It's sort of like Othello. I wish I had gotten a better screenshot. But okay, so here, when this guy drops down this piece, assuming that it's going in this column, because there's blue on either side of this tile is going to turn blue. And because there's red on either side of this blue square, it's going to turn red, okay? And then what you're trying to do is to make an entire line that's the same color. So in versus mode, there's only two colors, and the red side is only trying to make red, and the blue side is only trying to make blue. And you get this like border around the outside. The full game, it's like wider. There's no outside border, and there's like a ton of colors. So basically, the strategy is through good placement and color swapping and stuff to make it so that it's all one color except for one column. And then you drop something to transform that whole column at once. And then you get like multiple line clears simultaneously, which is just like any good puzzle game, your objective. And that sounds like garbage and stuff in multiplayer and gets you points in single player and all that stuff. It's really, really hard to get your head around. I think it has one of the steeper learning curves of puzzle games. I played it with a friend of mine who's... I feel like he would never say this himself, but I think objectively it's a true fact. One of the greatest puzzle game players in the world. And that's not just me being ignorant. You know, I follow these scenes and stuff, and this guy's scores across so many different games are legendary. But yeah, so neither of us had really played it much before. I think he had heard of it before and maybe not played it, and I played like a couple games before I started playing with him. And then we started playing together, and we were like kind of even for a while. And we were both kind of like adjusting to the learning curve and both improving. And then I started seeing him like separate away from me. And at that moment I was like, oh, this must actually be like a really good puzzle game. If like his natural puzzle game skills or I shouldn't say natural puzzle game skills, but his puzzle game experience was helping him out. So I am very interested in this game. I'd like to play it some more and get a little better. It feels like one of those games where you get a lot of like local maxima, if you know what I mean. But it's very easy to come up with strategy that you feel is like, okay, this works. This reliably gets me like maybe a 3-line clear or something. But then you almost have to like dip down back into experimentation and stuff before you can come up with an even better, more powerful, more robust strategy. So I like games like that. I think that's always like very exciting. But I'm also really bad at it. You know, with a lot of competitive games, I'm the type to fall into that local maximum trap. Okay, I think we got one more game to talk about, but it is a doozy. One of my favorite games I played this year, Overcooked. Oh, I love this game. So this is the game that I played with my cousins a ton over the holidays. Not as much as I'd even like to, though. Like, we made a lot of progress in it. And we grinded 3 stars and a bunch of missions, but I think there's still so much content left. So the way this game works, you're playing as one of these little chef guys. You go around trying to put together dishes, So you can see here, these are the dishes that you're being requested, and these are the things you got to put in it, like a bun and cooked meat, lettuce, whatever. You got to take it over to the ordering window. You got to do stuff like when a dirty dish appears, you got to come back and wash it. The controls are really, really simple and straightforward. There's like one button for chopping up stuff, one button for picking up and putting down stuff, and one button to do a little like burst dash, which moves you faster but is less controllable. So it's all about coordination. It's all about figuring out how to divvy up the tasks so that everything gets done as quickly as possible, so that there's not idle time, there's not wasted resources. So it's like very fascinating on that sort of planning level. So the first time I played with two of my cousins, and my dad was just there watching. And he didn't want to play, but he found it really fascinating to kind of help come up with strats. So here you can see that there's like only 2 cutting boards, right? So that's kind of like a limiting factor, that if you want to continue making like a thorough rate of vegetables and the chopped up meat for the hamburger, you got to make sure these are being utilized all the time. But then they don't take as long as the frying pans, and the frying pans can be left unoccupied for periods of time. You don't want it to burn, of course, though. So it's like trying to kind of figure out the rate at which 2 different things happen, and where to like allocate your manpower such that one isn't kind of being left to idle. And then, of course, every stage has ridiculous gimmicks. Like this was a good one where halfway through the map, or not halfway, but at varying times through the map, there's an earthquake, and half of the kitchen gets lifted up. So this half can drop stuff down to these people, but these people have no way of interacting or giving things to the heightened half. This is actually like a very tame one in comparison to a lot of other ones, but each one like really presents unique challenges of optimization and coordination. And I think you got to play this with like the right group of people. Like I get along really well with my cousins, and we just had a blast, and we never really got upset or anything. But I think if it was just slightly different personalities at play, it could have gone disastrously, and we would have been at each other's throats. But when you're playing well, once you get into the groove, once you come up with a system that works for each stage, and it's like really flowing along, it's a feeling that I think is like more satisfying than almost any other cooperative game I've ever played. Just because you know there's like a faith in that everyone is doing their part. What it actually reminds me most of is one of the cousins I play with who used to be really big into World of Warcraft. Actually, they both were, but one was even more so. And I sometimes would watch him do like massive raids where the entire guild is on a raid. And probably if I keep trying to use MMO terms, I'm going to expose myself as a total MMO fraud and novice. But I was so fascinated and so inspired by how coordinated they were and how much trust there was between them, that other people were just doing their job. And when it came time to rely on their job being done, that it wasn't even a question, right? Like that sort of synchronicity, and that's not the word I want. Symbioticness is really beautiful, I think, to see. So yeah, great game. I'm hoping to get a chance to play it some more. But like I said, you need people to make it fun, and you need the right people. Okay, that's it. Those are the 16 games I played, any amount of this, and I forgot about Templar 2048, but it's probably better to have forgotten about that, and probably some other games too, but these are 16 that I wanted to talk about at any rate. Yeah. Will I play more or less games next year? I don't know. I don't know, man. With the job and everything else I want to do, games just fall further and further into the low priority bracket, but we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to make more Let's Play type videos for this channel. I think it's a lot of fun. It's like something where, I don't know, like when it comes to media to talk over, I think comics are really good, and video games are really good too, but there's not much else that works that well. So I'd like to get into games more because of that. Okay, yeah, that's all for now.